another exciting episode of What's Cooking. My name is Mona Ahmed. I'm the founder, owner, and chief everything officer of Mona's Creations, where we make restaurant-inspired frozen skillet meals. And you can definitely learn more about our products on our website listed below. So hello everyone, and assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be upon all of you. I thought it would be really nice to take it up a notch and to, go fancy a little. I've already dressed up with some bling. I wanted to share a nice dessert recipe for you. It's actually called Shahi Tukaray. Shahi means royal or regal, and Tukaray means pieces. And so it's royal pieces. And so it actually was invented back during the times of the Mughals. So we're talking about the 16th century, 17th century, 18th century, but we still love this dish today. And I tried to do a little more simplified version. You can make it as decadent and rich as you'd like. And but this is something that I love. I grew up with it. My mom would make it all the time, and I do also for my family, and I enjoy it. So with that, let's get started. So we are going to be working with 9 ingredients today. And so we're going to be using evaporated milk. Evaporated milk I love using, especially for desserts, because a lot of times it really helps cut the cooking time. And I still feel that you can still get the richness. Otherwise, if you don't use evaporated milk, you can always, I guess, boil the milk down to a point, add some cream, and but that can take 2 to 3 hours. And so if you're pressed for time like I am, I think you'll be very happy with evaporated milk and the results with it. So I'm using 2 cans, and each can is about 12 ounces, so that translates to 3 cups of evaporated milk. We're also going to be using about a cup of oil. I'm using olive oil today because we're going to be using the bread to actually just brown it a little bit. So this is an ingredient that really you don't have to use too much of, or you can actually decide how much oil you want to use. I'm also going to be using our bread, and here I have 6 slices. This bread is a little sturdier, and you do use white bread when you make Shahi Tukaray. You don't really use wheat bread, whole wheat, multigrain, rye, none of those sorts. You really just use a good hearty white bread. And here I'm saying I have about 6 slices. We're also going to use sugar. Now I have about 1.5 cups of sugar there. I will try not to use all of it. I'm really going to start with 1/2 cup, and then we are going to test the liquid to see if it's sweet enough. But again, this is something that you can definitely use more of or less of. We're going to use cardamom powder. I think I have talked in another episode where these are actually the cardamom pods. These are the green ones. And they're so aromatic, and they have a very distinct taste, and they're very good for the digestive system. So this is actually all grounded, and basically the top part, like you could say, the husk has been removed, and these are really the seeds in it, and so you can really smell the nice aroma with it. We're going to also be using, I have about a handful of chopped almonds. These are just with the skin on as well, but you can definitely use slivered almonds or even whole almonds and just kind of chop them. They don't have to be in a particular form. I also love pistachios in our dessert. And so these are basically shelled and unsalted. So just the purest form. And we're just going to try to chop them up a little bit before we put them in here. And again, this is also just a little bit of a fistful. We have our saffron. As I had mentioned before, saffron really goes a long way. We'll just use a pinch, and it'll give us enough of an aroma and some color. More so like a yellow color. Oh, and here I have chandi ka varak. Chandi ka varak chandi means silver, and varak means leaf. So this is like a silver leaf. And the reason why they call it that is because it's like thin as a leaf. And what we also do with this is basically, there's even sona ke varak, which sona means gold. So a gold leaf. What we basically do is to really, you use it to adorn, like to decorate the dessert. And it gets a little tricky to work with it, and I think I'll be able to prove that to you. But still, it's a nice way to decorate the dish. And we use it a lot with a lot of our sweets, many of our dry sweets as well. People think that also kind of has some antimicrobial benefits and also kind of increases the shelf life of the dessert. So that's also some of the reasons why we use it. But we are, as I can tell, we're going to eat like the royals today. And so with that, let's start. We're going to be using 2 pans. And one will be to create the, you can say, the sauce that the bread will actually be soaked into. And then we have our skillet where we're actually going to toast the bread. Now, because everything kind of happens pretty quickly, we're going to work first on the sauce. Because once that's done, then we can work on the bread. Because once the bread starts browning, then we have to quickly act fast. So, so I will do that. So I'm going to put the stove on to like low to medium, and I'm going to start with my evaporated milk. Now again, this is 3 cups. If you feel that you don't want to, even though evaporated milk generally has good nutritionals, they're not very high, but if you'd like, you can even use like let's say 1 can of evaporated milk and the rest can be regular milk. But I have both here. So right at this stage, we can start putting all our other ingredients as well. So I'm going to put about 1/2 teaspoon of my cardamom powder. It's right here. And again, oh, smells so good. And you don't need too much, but it's enough to give it the color and the flavor. And we're also going to be using our, so in this, I'm going to use most of my almonds. I'm going to leave some behind just so that once the dish is prepared, then we will just garnish it at the end as well. But I'm going to say, you could say I'm going to use about 3/4 of it. Okay. Now for, oh, another thing I should add now at this stage is really our sugar, because the goal is not really for the milk to boil, but instead just to warm up. And we really just want the sugar to dissolve. So I had mentioned this is about 1.5 cups. I'm going to just start with about 1/2 cup right now. And we will just let it do. And then once it starts getting warmer and I feel the sugar has dissolved, I'll just take a taste and we'll see if that's enough. And then we're going to also add about a pinch of our saffron. And you really, again, you just need a little bit, but honestly, I just use a pinch, and I'm just going to crush it, and I'm going to put it in here. Maybe I'll put just a little bit more. And we'll just mix it. And so you just, now again, depending on how much you need to make, you can increase the amount of milk, or even make it with 1 can of milk if you'd like. But we're really just going to let it warm a little bit. And also now, what I'll do is, while this is warming, I think I'm going to start working on the bread. As I mentioned, the bread is something that you would like to use the white slices. And basically, we're going to take off the crust. So I'm just going to, like, I stacked them a little bit, and I'm going to go like that. You don't need the crust. So even though I'm using a sturdier bread, as you can see, it's already started to crumble kind of a little bit. And the goal is really not to have that. And you don't have to, this slice is not too big, but I still would like probably, I'll cut it in half. Okay, so these will be our slices. And we'll do the same thing. Now, if you don't want too much liquid, you could use more bread. This bread will absorb the liquid, but we still wanted there to be some liquid. If you don't want any liquid, you can just use more bread then. And let's do that. I'm just going to mix the mixture. And again, the goal is to just warm up the milk and have the sugar dissolved. I'm also going to get our skillet ready, and I'm going to put the oil in it. Again, I'm using olive oil. People also use ghee. Do you remember our clarified butter that we talked about before? And again, you can make it as decadent as you want. It will taste delicious either way. But I decided to use olive oil today. And as you can see, there's enough for it to brown. So we're going to warm that. Now let's take our pistachios. I love pistachios. You can use a blender, of course, or I just want to make the pieces a little smaller. All the different colors and textures. So as you can see, nothing fancy. They don't have to be any uniform shape. Really, it's just to kind of so that when you eat it, you're also able to taste a bite of the pistachios as well. You don't necessarily put walnuts or hazelnuts and those kind of things, but you can definitely, these are your main nuts that we typically go to if you can use nuts, right? If you are allergic to nuts, then of course this dish does not have to have any nuts, and you can still enjoy it. You can eat this dish warm, you can eat it cold. And so it's our version of a bread pudding. Okay, so I'm going to put these. Okay, great. And again, I'm going to use like 3/4 of it. Okay. I'm going to check on my milk. And I'll taste it. Let me just get a spoon. Yeah, that's nice. I think we need to put a little more sugar. The thing about sweet dishes, especially when you put them in the refrigerator, you want it to be a little extra sweet, because once it goes in the refrigerator and it cools down, then the sweetness actually is perfect. So I'm going to put a little more. And again, this is me and what I'm trying to make. But if you definitely would like it to not have too much sugar, then you can really just enjoy it with a subtle taste of sweetness. And so as you can see, we've kind of used, some of the most expensive ingredients, right? That's what makes it so rich. But really, it's quite simple to make if you make it this way. Of course, if you Google anything, there'll be many different versions out there, and you can still enjoy it. Okay, so I'm just going to do something to test, because I think our milk is ready. Because what I'd like to do is, I'm going to transfer this into the pot that I really want to serve it in. Because if you put it here and then transfer it, that'll be a little difficult. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to try one more time the sweetness. I think that's nice. I think it's a good balance of sweetness. At the end of the day, I know I brought more sugar, but I don't want to use all of it, really, to be honest with you. Okay, so our milk is warm. In the meantime, I'm going to transfer the milk onto the dish that we want to actually serve it in. I actually brought a dish that my mom always put dessert in. And I'm trying to carry on the tradition. I also enjoy using the dish. And so basically, I'm just going to take it and I'm going to pour it in. Oh, so you can see. You want to try to get everything that you can. You will have some, like especially remaining almond milk, cardamom powder. So try to see what you can get. Okay, that's it. Now I actually see things bubbling, right? So what we're going to do is we're now going to brown the bread. So we just take the bread, and it's fairly a quick process. You can start hearing the sizzling. One thing I do want to do, because the chandi varak takes a little bit of time to actually, get on the item, I'm going to try putting it right before I end up putting it in the milk. So here, we won't overcrowd it, but you can kind of hear it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to get a plate so I can put the toast on there. So again, these sheets, you can get them in the stores, in the ethnic stores. You can even get them online. And they're a little easier to put on like an actual piece of something. But I'm going to try to get it at this stage to see what happens. Okay, so we want this lightly brown, maybe a little more brown than that. Just takes a few minutes. So as you can see, even the moguls like to enjoy, some good food. It has a lot of fats in it, right? I mean, you have the oils and you have the sugar, and then of course it's sweet, but then you have the nuts and the cardamom and saffron. So all nice ingredients that really take this dessert to another level. Okay. I think, yes, now do you see kind of the light brown? The bread's getting light brown. And that's what we want. Some people also bake this, some people, again, there's so many variations to how to make it, but this is how I grew up making it. And this is how our family enjoys it. Okay, I'm gonna see. I just want it to be a little more brown because I think that adds to the pretty color. And really the goal is just that once it's done, we put it in here. I'm gonna try to see if I could, this is kind of like almost a tattoo if you think. You know how if you use the water and you press the tattoo on, that's the goal here too. We are going to try to press it on and then hopefully it stays on. Because otherwise it's so thin that it ends up being on my finger. So I haven't really mastered the art of removing chandi varak from the paper onto the dish. Oh, this is good. All right, so let's try this one. Let me just turn them as well. Because then once the oil gets hot enough, that's when really things start moving faster. It's trying to run from me. Okay. I'm going to see if I can, oh, look, it ended up being on the, are you able to see? Oh, I haven't been very successful. All right. Sorry, I should have practiced more at home. All right, anyway, this is going in, and we will try to put this on there. And we're going to put the other one straight in. Okay? It's just going to go right in. And soon these pieces will also absorb into the milk. And it'll be sweetened by everything that's in it. Okay, I'm going to take the last few pieces. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can, while that is actually getting brown, I'm going to use this one. Let's see. See, it gets on my hand. got a little bit. I wonder if I use the knife. All right, this will have to do, everyone. We will have to live with this. But as you can see already, kind of decorates. Okay, let me check my toast. Oh, okay, that one's a little crispy, but it'll be just fine. And we have this. And we'll just adorn it with a little more nuts. Okay. There we go. I think the knife is the way to go. Otherwise, if you actually see it on a piece of matai, which we call also is like a sweet meat, they do it very nicely, and I guess it probably, sticks on it easier. Okay, here we go. All right. We are in a good spot. Okay, great. So I'm going to turn off the stove, and this is our Shahi Tukaray. I'm just going to, already we have a lot of nuts and pistachios already in it, but I'm still just going to finish it off with the almonds as well. And this is what the dessert looks like. I can plate it now while it's hot, and then I'll plate it so that you can see. But you can definitely eat this, like if you want to make this ahead of time, you definitely can make it a few hours before and then put it in the refrigerator. And when you put it in the refrigerator, you're going to notice that a lot of the milk has been absorbed by the bread. So otherwise you can also eat it like this when it's warm, like a warm bread pudding, you can say. Otherwise, if you'd like it cold, it also tastes delicious. And it's because the bread has really had time to soak in a lot of this luscious, rich milk. So, but I think I can't wait. So I think let's serve it up, and I will use a spoon. And we're really just going to do this. Make sure we have and you can enjoy it. And yes, if you want to attempt the chandi ka varak, I will definitely encourage you to try it. It does make the dish look pretty. It doesn't really have a taste, but it definitely adds to the beauty of a dish. And here you go. So thank you, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. It was really a lot of fun to make. It reminded me a lot of, growing up and just kind of thinking about our culture and our heritage, and really how you can really, make something that is supposedly considered to be very difficult to make, but we don't have to make it so difficult. And we can always learn how to use some of the stuff, like the chandi ki varak. But I hope if you do get a chance to try it, please do let me know how it went. And of course, in your home, you can be very, you can decide how much sugar you want to use or how much oil and so forth. But I hope you enjoy it, and may you have many, many more opportunities to enjoy this richness in your world. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you soon.